Hi, people, welcome back to another episode of the mdlove podcast. So, today I am very excited to record this episode because I had this idea and I'm really excited about it. So, basically, what I'm going to do is to create a series of reactions to Loving Neverland. I don't know if you guys remember, I've watched it. If you haven't, you have to. Loving Neverland is a documentary created by two fans of MJ. If I remember correctly, there were two girls. I don't remember where they are from, but there were two women who created this 5-hour documentary showing exactly what happened with the accusations, with the accusers, who are they, and I'm talking all of the accusers from 93 to 2003, who they are, what really happened. They share some stories behind the scenes, and it is a very, very important documentary if you want to find out the truth. Anyway, I've watched it before. I watched it when it came out about 4 years ago, and when it came out, it was 5 hours long. They haven't yet divided it to 5 parts like they have today. And when I watched it, I think it took me about 6 or 7 hours to watch it because I had to take breaks here and there because it was very emotional to watch it. I do remember crying a lot. It's really hard just to see what Michael went through, what he had to put up with, and how he was played by evil people. And the prices he paid for being a wealthy man, a famous man. So yeah, I do have to warn you, it's not going to be easy. However, I do believe that it is very important to watch it because, as you know, there's going to be a second Living Neverland, which is another ridiculous doco that I'm sure fans will going to debunk it as soon as it will come out. But people need to know the basics of what happened. So it's very important to watch that as well. And if you know someone who believes MJ is guilty, please send it to them if they care to learn about the truth. Some people don't care. Some people just love to gossip about Michael. They just love to talk about him. They don't actually care to take the time to learn the truth. They just love to trash him. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a hobby or something. But anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I haven't seen it in a few years, like I said, and I am going to watch for the second time, but after a long time, the entire 4 or 5 parts of this documentary, this marvelous documentary, and I'm going to have a live reaction to what we are hearing, what I am seeing. I'm not going to show you the images, because of copyright issues, but I believe you can listen to the audio, and I'm going to react to what we'll be hearing together. And and I'm going to create, as I said, a series. I don't know how many episodes it's going to create, but it's going to be interesting. Hopefully you guys will stay here and participate, and I would love to see your comments about that. Have you watched it before? Have you watched it more than once? Do you know someone who believed Michael was guilty and watched it and found out the truth through it? Or maybe through another documentary. There are a lot of other documentaries who are great and are very educational. So for today's episode, we're gonna start with the very first part of Loving Neverland. So the first part is 43 minutes. I don't think we're gonna watch the entire 43 in one episode, but I'm gonna try and do at least half an hour. Okay, so Loving Neverland part 1, let's go. Okay, here we go. So there's a slide here that says sexual violence is never to be taken lightly. This film was not made to degrade victims or devalue their sentiments. That is a beautiful thing to say because, yeah, this is not about real victim. This is about people who are claiming they're victims, and we know for a fact they were not. They were not abused, not by Michael anyway. So these people, Robson and Safecheck, are fake victims. They're pretend victims, greedy victims. Okay, they are victims of their own greed. Okay, let's continue. Oh, and there is a slide just before that that says that this documentary is for educational purposes only. So exactly, people, educate yourselves and others who believe MJ is guilty or whatever, okay? This is a very educational documentary. Okay, let's continue.
And the winner is...
And the winner is...
And the winner is...
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
I love that they start this documentary with a positive note, that they're showing that always Michael is a winner. Not just in the music industry, but he is a winner in life as well. At least that's the associations I get from this. Okay, let's continue.
This is wonderful. Thank you again to everybody. I'm really happy. Thank you, Quincy, and thank you for all the promotion.
Oh, that soft voice. You know, people talk a lot about his voice, and I think I finally understand why he used that soft voice. I think he did it to reserve his voice. It was his way to, not work his vocal cords so hard that he could sing. Basically his voice was his tool, his work. So yeah, I understand now the soft voice. I do wonder now why he gave it up at the end. Maybe it was another way for him to say, I'm not going to sing anymore, I'm not going to be the king of pop anymore, I'm not going to perform anymore. Is that why he didn't care to reserve his voice? Yeah, but okay, we are on a different topic today. Okay, let's continue.
People, including Fred D-Man, and the wonderful fans and disc jockeys. Thank you so much.
Okay, there is a slide here with a quote by James Baldwin, and it says, "The Michael Jackson cacophony," I don't know that word, so forgive me, "is fascinating in that it is not about Jackson at all. I hope he has the good sense to know it and the good fortune to snatch his life out of the jaws of a carnivore's success." Okay, forgive me, English is not my language. He will not swiftly be forgiven for having turned so many tables, for he damn sure grabbed the brass ring. And the man who broke the bank at Monte Carlo has nothing on Michael. Okay, I'm not sure exactly who are the people he's talking about, and I don't really know those catchphrases, but basically, yeah, I think what he is saying is that he became so big, but at the same time, he's also a black man in America. So, him becoming this big as a black man in America, he's gonna pay a price for it. That's what I'm getting from it. If you think I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to comment. Okay, let's continue. Okay, dramatic music. Okay, it's just the opening. Loving Neverland. Oh, okay. Produced by Nadita Raghav and Debelina Ike, or Ike. I don't know how to say it, but anyway, I did remember that those were two female fans, so thank you for creating this. This is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Part 1 out of 4, okay. So they're showing Michael on stage dancing on Thriller, Smooth Criminal, They Don't Care About Us, Blood on the Dance Floor, performing in New York, performing This Is It. Yeah, all
Michael Jackson, the king of pop whose reign in the world of music and dance spanned for decades and continues to this day. Starting from a very young age of 5, he cultivated his skills and talent to such an utmost perfection that the only competition was none but himself. From breaking worldwide records to being revered and welcomed by notable figures and being on the same pedestal as that of powerful leaders, he climbed the stairs of profound success and superstardom.
Exactly. He wasn't just a performer, singer, songwriter. He was a world leader. Yeah, he happened to also sing and dance and, create great art. But he was a global leader, and that's, yeah, he was very, very powerful. And that's why so many people were afraid of him and tried to take him down. Okay, let's continue.
But was his struggle and stardom that easy?
Nope.
As he became more famous, the media became increasingly aggressive towards him. His appearance, words...
Aggressive is an interesting word. I would have said cruel. Absolutely cruel towards him, and you know what? I'd rather not say anything. I think people already know what I think of the media. Let's just continue.
And actions were intentionally and maliciously manipulated and distorted by the media to portray him as an eccentric freak. They dehumanized him, making him fair game to bully, torment, and disrespect. The headlines were full of malicious phrases like freak, bizarre, weird, wacko-jacko, and sicko. As the years passed, especially around the 1980s, there was a notable change in Jackson's appearance. His skin color had started to become paler, and his nose had become smaller. The media took hold of this opportunity and claimed he bleached his skin to become white, and made it sound like a choice that Michael had made for not wanting to be black.
Well, you know what about that part about the vitiligo? Look, I will never pass judgment on MJ. I don't know, his thought process. I don't know why he's doing things the way he does. I will say, I would like to believe that if he had said something right when the vitiligo started to really show, when he got to a point where he couldn't hide it anymore, if he had said, if he brought vitiligo, he brought awareness to vitiligo, then maybe none of that would have happened. Maybe the media would still find other things to, to torture him with. But at least people would have known that he has a skin disorder. And with time, when he became whiter and whiter, then they would have known, yeah, it's because of the vitiligo. It is, I mean, this is something that I don't understand. Why did he had to get to a point where he couldn't hide the vitiligo anymore? If you guys remember the interview in 93 with a woman I call Cobra, he was very bright already then in 93. Why did he have to wait until he was that bright to talk about it? If he had done it sooner, then I think, at least in that subject, the media wouldn't torture him so much, because the public would have known that they are just BSing them. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Because you know what? Even now, after we have the autopsy, which, as a believer, I know it is not a real one, but still, it does tell the truth. He has vitiligo even now. They're not saying sorry for what they said, for lying to the public like that, or bring awareness to what he had. So yeah, I'm probably wrong, but it's just a thought that I had for a long time and I wanted to share it. Okay, let's continue.
This narrative, however, was demonstrably false and fabricated, as there were many physiological and numerological factors that contributed to the change in his appearance.
This is the situation. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
On the Oprah Winfrey Show, that he at one point actually showed them. It didn't get on camera, of course. He was just showing them off camera.
Yeah, I do wonder why that is. He did show it to the camera that he has vitiligo. I guess he showed that he has spots on his arm or something. And why did Cobra chose not to show that? Is it because she's part of it? Probably. She's part of the bad people. We do know it now. Did we know it back then? No, but we know who she is now. What was her purpose with MJ and what she really thinks of him. So learning this now, that he did show her and she didn't show it on her show, kind of tells us who she really is, right? Okay, let's continue.
He rolled up his sleeve, and that the skin was mottled. There were blotches.
Vitiligo is a medical condition that Jackson claims has afflicted him for more than 20 years. This disfiguring skin disease affects nearly 2% of the world's population and strips all pigmentation from the skin. The result is not just pale, but porcelain white.
The beginnings of the vitiligo started happening relatively early. He even was trying to hide it from me. He tried to hide it for quite a while. He'd always try to cover with makeup and even out his skin tone and everything until it just got so extensive. It's all over his body. We were always trying to hide it and cover it for the longest time until he just had to tell Oprah and tell the world, listen, I'm not trying to be white. I have a skin disease.
The loss of pigment exposes vitiligo sufferers to great risk of skin cancer, requiring constant shade from the sun and thick makeup or sunblock to lessen the exposure.
In the beginning, I tried to cover the light spots to the darkest part of his skin, but then it became so extensive that we had to go with the lighter part.
Okay, you know what about that part about the vitiligo? We know the truth. Okay, so let's try and see if they are talking about other topics. But it is interesting, right? How the media kind of played with it. And even if when he was so open, he was finally open about it, and he showed the world his skin condition. He rolled his sleeve, he showed, but they chose not to show it. they chose to again twist the truth. When he gave them evidence, proof, they chose not to show the truth, the evidence. So they had an agenda all along, you know. It is interesting to me that the Jacksons or whoever, knowing that Oprah chose to not show that part, they still trusted her and gave her interviews or whatever. Just a thought, you know. So, okay, let's move on to maybe this. Let's see what's going on here.
Even 23 years later, Jackson could still feel the excruciating pain from the scars.
Oh, here they're talking about the Pepsi accident. Okay, so maybe I will go just a little bit backwards. Oh no, they're actually showing the accident. Okay, that's never easy for me to watch. And if you guys have watched it, have you noticed that it seemed like Michael didn't really feel anything until people jumped on him? I guess it's the adrenaline of the performance, but it really seems like he haven't even noticed anything happens until people told him that, man, you're on fire.
A bizarre pyrotechnic accident in 1984, when Michael was performing Billie Jean with his four brothers for a Pepsi commercial, resulted in Michael suffering second and third degree burns to his head. Plastic surgery was required to restore and heal his scalp. The medication prescribed to Michael Jackson during this time led to his long-term addiction to painkillers.
Yeah, like from what I know, he had so many surgeries on his scalp. I'm not sure exactly what they did there, but I think a lot of people thought he had a facelift, but I think it was because of those surgeries. I think they just pulled the skin from the scalp, and it was so painful that he couldn't help but take painkillers, in order to function. He had a big job to do, a lot of responsibilities, and he had to function somehow. So when it comes to the painkillers, I don't judge him. I understand it. But I guess at that time he didn't feel there was another way for him to function. So far it's been nothing but painful, right? But yeah, I mean, this is the point of the documentary, just to show what Michael had to deal with. So let's continue.
When he burnt his hair at the Pepsi commercial, he started using painkillers then. He then fell from a stage and broke his leg. He also cracked a vertebrae in his back, and those things have caused him terrible pain.
The scars from...
Yes, and then there was, of course, the bridge accident. I think that was in 1999. Where in the middle of the performance, the bridge just collapsed and Michael was on it and it hit his back. And this guy said that Michael broke his leg. That I don't know if it's true because he's still walking, but I know he hurt his back. And yeah, I mean, I get it for that. You need painkillers because now your whole body is... And I do wonder if because of all the stress and everything that he went through, just the physical part, did it also gave him fibromyalgia? I do wonder about that. I think he had that. But of course, I don't think anyone will ever tell us. And at the end of the day, his health challenges are his issues. I mean, we can talk about it, I guess, but no one will ever confirm anything to us. We do know enough, I believe.
The burn never fully recovered because of a pre-existing autoimmune disorder, lupus. The attempts to reduce the scars were not successful, and Jackson felt compelled to wear patches of hair and then wigs for the rest of his life. The accident was so intense that the injury caused to his scalp by the accident remained sensitive for life. Even 23 years later, Jackson could still feel the excruciating pain from the scars.
So they're showing the images from the last photo shoot in 2007 when they are asking MJ to grab his hair, well, actually the wig, and it is very noticeable that Michael is in pain. He is shaking. But watching this a few times, I don't think the pain was in his scalp. I think the pain was in his back. Because, he needs to kind of grab his hair and his arm, like his shoulders going up and whatever. I think just the way he stands, just from the way he's supposed to, you know, what they're asking of him, I think it caused back pain. I don't believe it has anything to do with his head injury, the burn on his head. I think it's his back, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
How the public perceive Michael Jackson is largely influenced by the racist narratives that underpin the media. What does Michael Jackson look like? What kind of man was he? Why did his nose become smaller? Why did his hair become straight? Why did he wear such unique clothes? Why did he wear a mask? The chances are you were taught the answers to these questions by the media.
I do have to say, all those questions were asked by the media, not so much by the public. And if the public did ask those questions, it's because the media were giving them very twisted versions of reality. And, the public were lied to for many, many, many years. However, I do have to say, as much as the media wanted to bring Michael down, I think the more they tried to bring him down, the more popular Michael became and more loved Michael became. Because the public at the end of the day are not stupid. And maybe they do enjoy some gossip pieces, but I think in their hearts they know that Michael is a wonderful human being, and they don't believe the lies, and they know that it's just for entertainment. Unfortunately, bullying became entertainment. But I think people know deep in their hearts who Michael really is. Therefore, he is the most popular performer, artist in the world, and people never stopped going to his concerts. And as far as I know, Thriller is still #1. So I don't think the media really influenced the public that much. Unfortunately, they did influence MJ and how he sees himself and how he feels about himself. They did get to him, which was probably what they wanted. Okay, let's continue.
They sensationalized a museum that showcased the changes in the shape of Jackson's nose in a dramatized and exaggerated way. Does it get any more absurd and ridiculous? And what was the...
Oh yeah, and for them to talk about his nose, the surgeries, whatever, and then to put it on the cover, on the front cover. There are wars going on in the world. There are real things that needs to be addressed and that people need to know about. And instead of talking about, I don't know, corrupted politicians and whatever is happening in the world, they decided to basically use MJ as a distraction to, to cover what's really happening in the world. And I guess that shows you who really controls the newspapers and the media in general. All those people who don't want you to know what's really going on used MJ to distract you, because they know, even until today, when they talk about Michael, the whole world wants to know what's going on. Michael gets a lot of attention. And when you give your attention to Michael, you forget to look to the other side. And there are worse things that are happening on the other side, and more truthful things that are happening on the other side. They lied about Michael to hide the truth about you, about the world. So, yeah, I hope people understand that by now. Let's continue.
Obsession with Michael's paternity.
Well, one glimpse at Michael Jackson will show you that he doesn't really look like an African-American man anymore. I think the Jackson family is all about this. I think that's why they'll fight for the children, because where the children go, that's where the money goes.
So that woman, I forgot her name, and you know what, maybe it's a good thing. But anyway, she represents basically the whole stinky media. They also were obsessed with MJ's children, trying to tell the world that they are not his children biologically. Basically whatever Michael did or didn't do, they tried to twist it. They're always trying to tell the public that Michael is the lie, that he is false. Everything you see and hear is false. That he is fake, that he is not a real man, that his marriages were not real. He doesn't really fall in love with women, he falls in love with little boys. I don't know, whatever. They tried to tell us all kinds of lies, that nothing about him is real, and that was just, I want to say bullying, but it was so much more than that. I mean, they were purposely trying to take him down in the most malicious ways. Listen, I'm gonna get angry a lot during this series, so I guess I'm getting angry instead of crying, because I can no longer cry about this. But people should know. It's very, very important to know the truth of what happened to MJ and what he had to deal with.
Who's the real baby daddy of at least the first two kids? These kids are not biologically related to Michael Jackson.
They're not.
And
Sure,
I keep reporting that.
Okay, now they did something brilliant in my mind, to my opinion. So they're showing pictures of famous people who on the outside they seem white, but they are actually black or half black. So there's this actress called Lena Horne. Let's see who else they are showing. Mariah Carey, okay? Yeah, she's a mix. No, but she also looks mixed. But yeah, there are times, I guess, during the year when she seems brighter than, I guess it depends on the season, if she tans or not. But yeah, she definitely doesn't look like the typical black woman.
Fans keep saying, no, they are. They're his. Yeah. No, they're not. They're not. Get a clue.
Okay, so there's this woman called Jolene Ivy.
Get a clue.
What is she? I don't know her, but let's see. I don't know her. I don't know what she does, but if she is half black, she doesn't look that at all. Her hair is pretty much blonde and her skin is very, very much white. Okay, so they're showing examples of people who basically looks like MJ kids. Okay, let's continue.
Children don't necessarily, and I guess the biracial children could look different.
So they're showing this actress who is black. I can't see the name here. Just one second. Let me just remove the subtitles. So their names are Jax and Jade Nyland. I don't know how to read the last name, but basically they're showing their mother, who is a famous actress, and she's dark-skinned, and her children are light-skinned with basically blonde hair. So they're showing that it is very possible to have a black parent and white children.
Or darker.
Rashida Jones. also an actress. She appears white, but she is African American.
They could be sort of all one or all
Yeah,
the
but
other.
blue eyes, not so much.
There you go.
It's quite evident.
There you go. They're showing Joe Jackson, MJ's dad, and he has blue eyes, blue-green eyes. And they show Paris right next to him to say, you know, her eyes could be her grandfather's eyes. Which, by the way, I saw a picture of Joe's parents. Both of them had bright eyes. I don't remember if they were blue or green, but they were bright. So it's in the family, it's in the genetics. So, you know, yeah. Obviously Paris's mother, Debbie, has blue eyes, but then I think it's her DNA with also Joe's DNA. You know, it's in the family.
That Jackson's eldest son, Prince Michael Jackson, also has vitiligo, indicative of an inherited skin disorder. The same.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you need a genetic proofs, it seems like Prince also has vitiligo. It's in the family. Jermaine, I know, has it. I'm pretty sure Latoya has it. I mean, she never spoke about it publicly, but I'm pretty sure she has it. I mean, she's obviously brighter than she was when she was younger. I don't know who else in the... I mean, MJ's grandpa, Joe's dad, had it. If you guys remember this famous picture when Joe's dad is holding Michael up on a table or something, and you can see that he has vitiligo. So it's in the family. Now Prince has it, which proves he is genetically related to Michael.
Skin disorder that Michael Jackson suffered from.
It is Michael Jackson, and he lives to be strange. He's in free fall now.
He lives to be strange, and you live to be mean, and you have nothing better to do with your life, you miserable lady.
And we all gotta stay glued to the set till we see the splat.
You can easily sense the sheer racism and hatred in their tone. How hateful can one get to rip off the pride of a black American?
And like, why? Like, she acts like he did something personal to her. I don't know. Did he reject her maybe in some way? Is that why she hates him so much? Like, what? What did he do? Or maybe we should ask, who paid you to talk about him like this? You know, maybe at the end, everything is about money. Maybe all those people who love to hate Michael got something out of it. Money? Attention? I don't know. But obviously, you have no reason to hate him. He did nothing to you.
For being the father of his children. Exhilarating rumors about him sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber, buying the bones of the Elephant Man, and questions surrounding his sexuality and virginity made headlines. While some even went so far as to claim that Michael, Latoya, and Janet were the same person.
I mean, how stupid are they? I mean, you have seen this entire family for so many years. Says at least the 70s. They have been on every magazine. They had, you know, television shows. You have seen all of them together. There are pictures. You have seen Michael, Latoya, and Janet all together in one picture or a TV show or whatever. How do you come up with this headline where there are these three individuals, but they are all the exact same person? Are you kidding me? Like, do you really think that the public is that stupid that are going to believe it? Or do you just need to fill a page every day? And if it's about Michael, then you know it's going to sell. Like I said, I'm gonna get mad a lot in this episode, okay, people? So, it's just... it irritates me that you think that people are that stupid. And you know what? Maybe there are people who are stupid enough to believe those kinds of stuff. I mean, those newspapers are still out there, right? Somebody is giving them their money. Okay, let's continue.
Even today, Jackson's photographs are distorted and the disfigured images of his face are used in horror video games and sold on bags and t-shirts, making him a subject of ridicule and mockery.
Yes, there are still people today who enjoy making fun of MJ, but you know what? There are also still people today who love Michael and still admire him and protects him, defends him, and love him and show who he really is. Those people who do those things, bullying him, they're probably just stupid kids or grown-ups who never really grew up, and just people who are bitter and they need to take it out on someone. And I guess it's easy to do it with Michael because maybe in their head he's not a real human being. I don't know. But anyway, no one pays attention to them. We are all about loving Michael and tell the truth about him, right? Okay, let's watch just a few more minutes and then I will continue in the next episode because this is getting too much.
The media's obsession and the systemic racism had a lot to do with Michael's ethnicity. A racist and derogatory slur, wacko jacko, was increasingly used by British tabloids from the 80s onward to denote Jackson.
Okay, you want to know this theory that I had for a while now? Since it started in British newspapers, this whole Jacko wacko thing, I think it has something to do with MJ buying the Beatles catalog. And I think someone from the Beatles, I'm not going to name names, but someone from the Beatles probably came up with that name. And that someone is very powerful, and I'm pretty sure he knows a lot of people in the British journalism. And he kind of gave them the idea to call him that and to use that name to hurt him because he was hurt when Michael bought the catalog. And again, it's just my theory, just my opinion. Okay? But I do think it is very interesting that it started in a British newspaper. That's all I'm saying. Okay, you know what? I think this is enough for today. We will continue in the next episode. We have so much to talk about, so much to go through. This is just part 1 out of 4. And so far, I've only watched with you a little over 12 minutes. Okay, so we have a lot to go through. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, enjoyed this idea. And don't forget to support Michael. Don't forget to love Michael, to show him tons of love. Remind him that we will never forget him. We will always love him. We will always defend him. No matter what people will say about him and how much they will try to destroy him, we will always love him, and love will always win. Okay, so thank you guys for being here. I will talk to you in the next episode. And keep love alive and keep Michaeling. Okay? See ya.